If you want, you guys could talk outside. Yeah.
No, it's clear. Let me open up my... Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the September 3rd Greytown Council meeting. This meeting will be held in person and online. There's a link provided in the agenda in the header, which is available on our website. For public hearings, residents can click in to participate or call using the number provided during the public hearings as detailed on the agenda, which is available on the website. And we'll start with roll call. Ann?
Present.
Krista?
Present.
Mike?
Present.
Matthew?
Present.
And I'm present. I just
Get a
think I
promotion.
promoted myself.
Next you'll be emperor.
Yeah, oh, please, thanks. And to my right is Town Manager Michael Foley. Will you rise with me, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on our agenda is the approval of the August 20th, 2024 regular Town Council meeting minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes that anyone has?
I have none.
No, seeing none. I have a small one on, my packet pages are not numbered.
They should be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it didn't,
yeah, they
the
are.
PDF, my PDF, they're not, I don't have page numbers. Don't
They're
ask
numbered
me.
on mine.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
online, yeah.
Go figure. It's, in any case, it is number 6, council communications. It's a small one. I can show it to you afterwards. Basically, it basically says I was invited to the Deer Acres Association annual meeting and I had already attended that. So just a small correction there. And if anyone, with that correction, yes, Mike?
I got a phone call from a resident that wasn't happy
Regarding the minutes?
about the minutes, yes. And they asked that more information was put in the minutes. I did call Krista about it, just asking what is appropriate, what's not appropriate. They have to put everything in the minutes as far as exact comments, and Krista and I talked about it. And I advised this person to come and speak or send us an email about their concern. Again, I'm learning, so I don't know enough about it, but from what Krista explained to me, that we don't have to have every exact word in there, so.
The minutes are not a transcript,
Okay.
correct? We do have the video of the meetings, and those are, there's a table of contents attached to those now. So it's much easier, especially if we have a long meeting, for someone to pinpoint that portion of the meeting that they're interested in reviewing in detail. So, but we can always, sharpen our pencil and look to be either consistent or maybe add some things if we have to. All right, seeing no other comments or suggestions, is there any objection to unanimous consent? Seeing none, we'll move on. Report from the town manager is next on our agenda.
Thank you. I have just a very brief report. I don't have any visuals, but I'm sure some of my colleagues will also mention. But last week, we took a tour of Little Sebago Lake with the Little Sebago Lake Association, myself, Councilor Chappell and Councilor Gass went with the leadership, and that was very informative. And they're doing incredible work on the lake, and it was great to learn about it and some of the efforts that the Resiliency Committee is working on, how they can intertwine with the work that they're doing. And then also last week, myself and Councilor Chappell participated in Greater Portland Council of Governments Connect for Greater Portland podcast and radio show that is live on WPMG.
MPG.
WMPG, and we talked about some of the work that's happening with the Village Transformation Project and other things that are going on in the town. So it was great to share that information with Greater Portland about the work that we're doing here in Gray. And that's all I had for those items. I did want to quickly mention last meeting we had a report from the assessor regarding the revaluation figures, and we're working to have those refinalized in the coming weeks, and hopefully by our next meeting we can come to you with a updated tax commitment date for the tax bills. So we've already approved when the tax bills will be, or the tax due dates, but we will need to amend those because similar to what you did following the later town meeting last year. So we'll hopefully have that finalized to bring to you at our next town council meeting.
Very good, thank you.
Great.
Will we be noticing the public that due date will be pushed out ahead of time? Because people might be wanting to pay their bill in advance of what would normally be in October 1st.
So everyone who gets adjustments in the revaluation process will receive notice, and they'll get, and then everybody will get the bill, and the updated due date will be on the bill.
Okay. I'm just wondering if we might communicate that there's a forthcoming change to that.
We'll do our best to communicate as
Okay.
many means possible, but the bill that they receive will show
Okay.
an updated due date, and we'll try to work with our vendor that sends out the tax bills to make sure that's bold and precise, that people know there's a different due date.
Okay. Oh, just one other, if you don't mind, Dan.
No.
Just one other comment about the bills. Last year, the bills had the incorrect breakdown of percentages
yeah.
between the town and the school and the county. And I just want to make sure that that's, we
Accurate,
can
yeah.
double check that
Yeah.
before they're printed.
I will work to ensure that's double checked.
Okay, yeah. Great.
That was a
Thanks,
problem.
Mike.
Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. Next on our agenda is council communications. The first is a report from the chair. I'll sort of work back to front. I received an email that Michael forwarded from the Little Sebago Lake Association about a video that they did on milfoil, which was really well done. I mean, it showed their process and the barge that they've created for suctioning milfoil up and for disposing of the plants. I suspect Little Sebago Lake has a lot to offer as a resource to other smaller communities around smaller bodies of water. They've really done a lot of work over the years, and I just wanted to let them know that I was impressed with that short little video. It certainly helps people understand what milfoil is and makes it easier for everybody to help identify it. I had two communications from citizens about noise at the basketball courts here at Pennell, which I passed along to Michael and let them know that I would be back in touch with them after he finishes looking into that for us. I'll just remind everybody, there's the FOIA training that still has to get buttoned up. I know everybody has plans to do that, but that 120 days expires September 11th, I guess it is. So that's a deadline that we have to meet for anybody who hasn't done that yet. I received a letter from the Gray Water District that was just copying us on a letter that they sent to our legislative team and the governor, being concerned about the ADU laws and the impact that that could have on the wellhead area and the recharge area, as well as the aquifers. I plan to respond to that, letting them know I got it. I think I copied you all on that. I'll copy you on my response also. And I think that I mentioned the Deer Acres workshop. Do we have a date for that now, or are we still
We
working
don't,
on that? Okay.
I've talked with folks from the Deer Acres Association,
Yeah.
and we're gonna try to meet together to come to the council with a concrete plan, so that way we can have a more productive conversation rather than an uncertain conversation.
I also had okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I also had a email from Lacey Anderson asking me what the process was going to be for filling Matt's seat. We have filled seats in the past before. I was going to get together with Michael, and basically we'll use the same process we've used in the past, where we'll advertise the open seat. We'll allow plenty of time for people to apply, and provide us with an application for that. And we'll have an opportunity to meet as a council in executive session to make that, to have some discussion about that, and then we'll make our choice known. That seat, by the charter, will be filled from now until next June election. Unfortunately, the charter doesn't allow us to have, to elect an officer at the November election, so we have to wait until next June before we can fill that seat for the remainder of Matt's term. Yes.
The only thing I would just suggest, I'm not sure under what statute you convene an executive session to consider filling a public position, but I can double check with legal counsel, but I'm not sure that that would be allowed.
Maybe I have that wrong, okay.
I think that you'd have to have a public discussion of the applicants.
Okay, thank you for correcting me.
Yeah, I think we didn't have that circumstance last time around because we had one application, so,
Okay.
but yeah, that might.
My mistake.
you might be right.
Thank you for correcting me. So we'll have that conversation about the applications we get in public. I get that mixed up with other personnel issues, I guess, but since it's a public position, there's no need for that. And that's all I had for council chair report. Council correspondence and committee reports. Matthew, do you want to start us off?
I haven't had any committee meetings since the last council meeting, so I don't have anything to report there. And I haven't heard, I haven't gotten any contact or communication as a counselor. I would, if the chair would indulge me, just mention that there is a contra dance next Saturday at the New Begin Gym, starting at 7 p.m. Beginner lesson. Anyone interested in that? And also, one place I meet a lot of people is at the farmers market, which is Sunday from 10 to 1, which is a really cool little scene there, and I really recommend people checking it out.
Thank you. Mike?
I have had no communication other than what I mentioned earlier, via email, and then the ones that you guys have all forwarded to me. I've had a few people approach me and talk to me about the tax situation where I live, but that's no other correspondence via email.
Very good. Krista?
Yep, so I was sad to miss our last meeting. I was on family vacation, but I have had some activities since July. The Ordinance Advisory Committee has met a couple times in preparation for the workshop we had earlier tonight. And also I was at several Blueberry Festival meetings in anticipation of the festival that occurred on August 10th, and was then at the festival all day. It was very well attended, as I'm sure you guys talked about last time. It was a lot of fun. I'm not sure when Ordinance Advisory Committee will be meeting again. I'm sure we'll reconvene around our conversation from earlier. Blueberry Festival is scheduled to meet 2 weeks from now. And so we'll get back on track for next year's festival. And then Greater Portland Council of Governments will be reconvening its executive committee on September 17th with a retreat from 9 to 1 to kind of ground us for the year's work ahead. As Mike mentioned, I also attended the radio show with Cheapy Cog last Thursday and the tour of Little Sebago. I do want to thank the Little Sebago Lake Association for that tour. It was really, as Mike said, very informative. Correspondence, I did have an anonymous call from a resident prior to the August meeting while I was on vacation, concerned about the changes to the cannabis ordinance that we were considering, but they didn't leave any contact information, so I wasn't able to call them back or get in touch. And then I haven't received any emails that other than what we've already discussed. So that's all I had.
Ian?
A resident reached out to me regarding an older gentleman who had recently lost his wife and was having difficulty coping. I just from my general fund of knowledge, was able to send her some information about organizations that could help. But it made me realize that people don't know where to turn when those kinds of crises happen. And I don't know whether or not that information is available in the town office, like brochures from Southern Maine Area Agency, for example. I'm just wondering whether that's. I don't expect the town to get into the social services business, but it would, it might be helpful to be able to connect folks. But anyway, I was happy to do that. I did very much enjoy being shown around Little Sebago Lake, courtesy of Pam Wilkinson and other members of the Little Sebago Lake Association leadership. It was very informative, and I am just so in awe of the work that they have done there, and the sort of unrelenting vigilance that they have to use to stay on top of it. Milfoil has now been identified in 30 locations on Little Sebago Lake, so it's a big deal. I had let's see. I had an email from a resident with concerns about the new lane marking changes that MTA has made at the Turnpike intersection. I forwarded that email to Mike Foley, and I think he's referenced that. And Representative Ann Graham and Senator Teresa Peirce have also been informed. Ultimately, this is an MTA issue, so we may have little ability to influence this issue, but I think it's important for residents to speak out if they're seeing incidents, as this one resident had, of people running the red light and not understanding the lane changes. Belinda Ray from GP Cog reached out to me regarding some questions she had about how towns can work with grant writing consultants, which is my day job. So I provided her with a bunch of information on that. I also got a note from Lacey about how the council will process the upcoming council vacancy. So that's been described. Finally, Mary Sweeney Underwood reached out saying she needed additional help for people willing to accompany her to the interviews that she's been doing that have been so informative and so well received on the town website, on things like the Gray Historical Society. And she's willing to conduct the interviews, but she can't do the interviews and do the videography at the same time. And the town has equipment that people can be trained to use and can borrow for this purpose. So I went ahead and put that request on my council Facebook page, and hoping that we can get some more people interested in that.
Thank you very much. I just have a couple of things. The planning board will meet on the 12th at 7 p.m. and the zoning board of appeals will meet on the 25th, also at 7 p.m. And I think that does it for any correspondence or committee reports, because I did a lot of that in my chair report. Moving on to item number 7, public comments of non-agenda items. Limit 3 minutes per person. Public is invited to address the council on any business item not on this agenda for tonight's meeting. Is there anyone here who would like to make public comment? Fran?
Fran Monroe Gray. And so I've got a couple of things. The first thing is the council rules, the changes, the major change that's happening there.
Yes.
And there was...
That's on tonight's agenda, though.
Yeah.
Am I going to speak during that time for it?
Yes, please.
Okay, I can skip that. And so I understand what you said earlier about not everywhere goes into the minutes. First of all, who writes the minutes? Do we have someone that we pay to do the minutes?
The town clerk has recently been tasked by me to do the minutes.
The town, oh, hi. Okay, okay, good. So, then, I've been here a long time. We've tried so many times, you know, with having things put into, the minutes that, you know, we feel important, but yet, I know a lot of it has to do with conversation. Conversation does not belong into the minutes, obviously. But a citizen coming forward has the right to be heard and has the right to have that reflection in the minutes, the statements that were made, and it was omitted from this last council. And so I disagree with the council, which is a surprise, but that needed to be. The comments made by Judy Simonelli, Simino, her comments needed to be in the council. That was a statement made and not a conversation. So I'm disappointed that, you know, it wasn't included. Now, I do appreciate that you did put in about, you know, the other comments about the pot shop. And so that was in there. And again, that's the example I'm trying to make. That was testimony that people gave, and that was reflected in the minutes. Judy's should have been the same. Okay, and now Dan wrote to me about, because I had a concern about all correspondence to the council goes through the town manager. And he says it's not on the site. I beg to differ. It is on the site. People who come to the meetings or who know what's going on do not see the, do not know that they can write to individual councils, because right on the front page, it says all correspondence goes to the town manager. So that needs to be taken down. That section needs to be taken down. And then therefore, all questions to the council needs to go to the councils individually or as, you know, a group. I don't know if you have a group link or not. And then, there was a report on the missing money that we have received it, but a report should include as much information as possible when you're communicating with the council and the government, the people. And no one mentioned where that money's going to go. Where in the budget is that $53,000 going to go? What are you going to use it for? So that should have been part of the report, and so that the citizens, you know, have a final, you know, end to the situation. And so the other issue is last meeting with the voting that took place. Frankly, it was really, well, it wasn't, you know, proper. If a council member is absent from a council meeting, it doesn't matter how that person thinks. That person's not present to cast their vote. A meeting is not held up because a councilor is absent. And so what took place, that, and then the town manager interfered with the council's voting and the process of them voting and all. And so that really shouldn't happen again. It's the council who takes the vote. No interference at all. And if you're absent, you know, you have this machine sitting here, you could always go online, and if it's that important to you. But, you know, if you answered, you go on vacation or all, I mean, no one's going to kill you for that, but you can't, the council should not be held because of it. And
In closing,
Yeah,
pardon?
in closing, do you,
you're over your.
In closing,
yeah, thank you.
just a second, then, because you took me off balance here, just a minute. And yes, and there's a suggestion that perhaps maybe, because this has been brought up in the past before, that the town manager should really be sitting on the side. And in some towns, they sit in the audience. But, you know, we seem to be doing this, we've brought about, for years, we brought this up. This is not a brand-new subject. But because other things are changing in the town, maybe this is the time to change that. The council should entertain that thought. And, you know, so, and I'll wait for the council rule issue. Thank you.
You're welcome. This is not a time for discussion, but I'll touch base with you about some of the other things that you brought up to fill you in on some details there.
Mr. Chair, we have one member of the public who would like to participate online.
Okay.
If you're okay,
Yes, absolutely.
I'll invite them in.
Please.
Lacey, you should be able to unmute and speak now.
Oops. Black screen of death.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
I'm sorry. So I did something with my computer and I can't even see. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So my concern, I guess it follows what Fran was saying, but I was having computer troubles connecting just now. So I was kind of shocked and I would say disappointed that at the last meeting on the subject of the second reading for the caregiver,
Medical cannabis.
Yep.
yes. I'm getting recording as well, so I'm confused.
We can hear you fine. We can't see you, and obviously we're having a little trouble with our own ability to view things, but we can hear you clearly. We could hear you clearly. I'm afraid I can't now. And we're restarting the video if you can hear us.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay.
All right. We seem to be back. Are you with us, Lacey?
I am back with you.
Good, okay.
So, okay, hopefully I got rid of the other recording. My concern was that Krista wasn't at the meeting,
Yes,
and 3 of the town council members, Dan, Michael, and Matthew, were sort of on the fence about the second reading and whether it should move forward at that meeting. And twice, a motion was brought up to table it or postpone it.
yes. We cannot hear you now, Lacey, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah,
No,
we
you
heard
are
today.
the- I'm not sure why we're getting this in and out. Would a phone call be more or less likely to be reliable?
If she can call, I can paste the phone number in the message for her.
Why don't we try that?
If she can't hear. I think has the meeting going on a couple of devices and it might
Yeah.
be
I
conflicting.
agree.
Yeah,
Lacey, I'm sending you the phone number and the meeting ID if you want to call in.
I just want to confirm this is not a problem on our end.
She left the chat, so I don't know if she got.
It's in the agenda.
Yeah, it's posted on the agenda if she's able to hear us.
we'll give it another few seconds. If we move on, but we hear back from Lacey, we'll give her an opportunity to comment. Obviously, the technology shouldn't get in the way of that.
And we do have the second public comment.
Yep, at the end. All right, I think we're going to move on, and hopefully, Lacey, if you're still watching us online, we will take your comment when you have the ability to connect with us. Old business, we have Resolve 2425-2, reaffirming the rules of the town council meetings and workshops. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Oh.
if I might mention, procedurally, this item was tabled at our meeting on June 18th. And so a motion to remove the item from the table to put it back in order would be the appropriate motion. And then the council would need to make a motion to amend the proposed amendments that were done, that were discussed during the workshop.
Yeah. I think for,
Oh, I'll make a motion to remove it from the table.
Second.
there's no comment or discussion on a motion to remove something from the table, so I'll go right to roll. Ann?
Yes.
Krista?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Matthew?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. So then the correct way at this point in time is to not use this resolve, but to use other language?
No, you can use this resolve, and you could say, as amended at the
Prior meeting?
workshop.
Okay.
And that the amendments are included in the packet.
Yes, okay. Resolve 2425-2, reaffirming the rules for the town council meetings and workshops as amended at our last meeting and as appear in the council packet for tonight's meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Second.
Second, Matthew. Motion and second, Matthew. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just ask if the council would consider one change.
Well, I'm going to let
Okay.
other people make and I'll
Okay,
come to
sure.
you. Is there anybody that had any issues about the changes that were made? There weren't too many.
I apologize because I was not here for the workshop
Yeah.
last time. I don't have any issues with the changes that were noted in this packet, but I did have some suggested edits that were minor that I would like to, for us to consider.
Okay,
including.
let's go down through it.
Okay, it just packet page 12 under regular meetings. The first part where we talk about meetings are held at Henry Pennell Municipal Complex at 7:00 p.m. I think we should note that they're also hybrid, which we don't notate here. And then on packet page 13, under special meetings, I believe we discussed this, and it may have been in a former iteration as an edit, but it doesn't appear to be here. Under item number 3, where we talk about special meetings needing to be noticed in person at the residence of each town councilor, I think we had discussed that that was unnecessary. Perhaps maybe we could just add a line about notifying via email or phone.
Do you have, well, I think since we're set to vote on this, do you have something specific you want to change there for language?
I think email is sufficient. I think we could say email or phone and remove the portion that talks about a notice being left at each person's residence. I think that's really antiquated. But you know, those are just my proposals for edits, and open to conversation, certainly.
Are there any objections to either of those edits?
No.
Okay, we'll add those. Were those the only ones?
Those
that
were the
you
only
had?
ones I had, yeah.
Just to confirm, so for the first one that she had shall be held at the municipal complex at 7 p.m.
And also available.
and also
Available
available
online.
electronically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or through a remote
Yeah.
link, or I don't know how.
Okay, I just want to make sure, since we're voting on everything now, that we
Yeah.
have that
I
wording
thought we had.
correctly.
I feel like it was in a former iteration.
Because there is a
policy.
policy about,
Yeah,
There's a policy about cancellations due to weather being optional as a remote option.
I thought there was a remote.
Where was that under? I think it was under the chair's duties.
give us a minute.
So I think we could just say, shall be held at the Henry Pennell Municipal Complex at 7 PM
Also
and,
available.
and also available electronically.
Yep,
That's broad enough that
yep.
it fits. And then for the other section, would you want us to strike the,
I think the whole
The-
section where it says.
shall be served?
in person or left at the residence.
So we could strike that to say electronically?
Right, notice of meeting shall be served via email
Phone.
or over the phone. Like, you know.
Should we say shall be served electronically to each member of the town council at least 24 hours?
I would
Or by
prefer to
phone.
say email and phone.
Or by phone.
And
yeah.
just, within 24 hours.
Served by email and phone?
I think so,
I
just
don't think
because,
you need to have and, you could say or.
I think it needs to be and.
Oh, you
Because
need
frankly,
and?
if you
Okay.
emailed me, I might not get it.
Okay,
to be
no,
honest
fair
with you, you know.
That's fine.
But I would get a phone call.
Right.
So I think it needs to be both. I mean.
So just strike the in-person left at residence
Yeah.
to say email or phone of
And-
each member of the town council.
Email
And
and.
And phone, sorry,
And
and
phone.
phone,
Okay.
email and phone.
Yep.
Okay, I
And then we
think,
have
Britt, do
all
you
our
have that?
bases covered,
Okay.
and I don't think we'd have any issues at that point.
Yeah, and you don't need unless all members of the council sign a waiver of notice either.
Yeah,
We could strike that.
yep,
Okay.
very good.
I mean, I don't know what the intent was behind that rule and when it was written, but it just feels very outdated.
Fair enough.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cause a kink in the edits, but yeah, I'm perfectly fine with the edits that are noted in here.
Okay, are there any other edits that anyone would like to make?
Nope.
There weren't many. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just wondering if there was one that the council would consider. We talked about it under, it's section 60203, meeting and workshop agendas documentation, subsection C1G, where it says, when editing documents, proposed deleted text will be struck through in red, and proposed additions to the text will be underlined in green. We were wondering if the council would consider, when editing documents, that track changes would be acceptable. It's really difficult you have to do all this work manually in order for that to happen when editing a document. So for instance, I'm working on bringing to you at a future meeting the collective bargaining agreement with the fire department. And all those changes have been made because we've gone back and forth with track changes. And for me to bring that to you, I would have to go and edit it a completely different way using this mechanism that's here. So I was hoping that maybe you would consider allowing that when editing documents, track changes will be acceptable.
I can't answer that question because I don't know that that's available in all formats that we produce our documents. So for instance, I don't see track changes. And I have a for instance, my PDF tonight of our meeting doesn't have page numbers in it. So
I think that's something with how you look at the meeting packet.
it may be true, but there's others in the world that probably use our meeting packet like that too. And I think we need to create a packet that needs to be accessible to as many people as possible. So I'm more than willing to make a change, but before I would agree to the change, I need to be confident that it's going to be accessible to everybody.
So track changes would be printed as a PDF, and so essentially it shrinks the document, and in the margin, it shows you what's been deleted and shows you what's been added, and the new text that's been added is underlined in the main document, and it does it automatically. I tried to mess with the track changes settings to make them match these settings, and it wasn't possible to match those settings exactly. And so we were hoping that track changes would be acceptable in that sense, and it would show, the document would look differently. I think one time our HR director, John, had intended to include a section with track changes, and it didn't get exported correctly. And so it would be my goal to export a document that shows the track changes in the margin as I've described, and you'd be able to see all the changes in that section.
Anyone care to comment?
In my experience with track changes, that you can adjust colors, and it does show strike through and underline as is desired. And you don't have to have that stuff in the margin either. I mean, you can just have a document that looks just exactly like G does here in track changes. I mean, I deal, you know, that's like my work, is editing documents in Word. And, you know, I think you should be able to achieve that with track changes in Word.
Yeah, I'm fine with whatever is easiest and clearest for the most people. I think where we've run into issues before and why this was added is because of things looking correct for staff when they're looking at it, and then when it gets imported into this system we use for our packets, there's a kink in it that doesn't always work, and it tends to leave stuff out. So I forget what it was called, the software that we use. But so I just want to make sure what we're seeing in our packet is what you're seeing on your computer screens for staff.
We will ensure that's the case.
So whatever is going to work most expediently and most efficiently, I'm fine with it.
But I guess I've seen, you know, the documents I've seen with the stuff in the margin, I don't think that's all that clear. You know, whereas right in the text you've got strike through and underline. I mean, it seems to me that's the way you should look in the packet, and that's the way it should, you know, look on the screen.
I use what he does all the time with my contracts, and it's, to me, it's very clear because it sets it to the side. You can look and you look back, and actually it should go through and do both if you wanted to, but that's how I do all my agreements, so it makes it easy, at least for me.
Yeah, I've also used track changes extensively. I mean, it can get ugly, you know, and difficult to track sometimes, or to read if lots of people are making changes but I mean, I think it's the most expedient way to make changes to documents, and I do appreciate Michael's concern that to have to go manually and do, you know, red and green and you know, and strike out, it just, I think that is a burden, and I'm since the technology exists, the software exists to, you know, to lighten that load, I'm inclined to go that way.
Okay, Krista, I mean, it sounds like I don't know enough about it to answer the question. What Matthew's telling me is you can do both, so.
Yeah, I've tried to make adjustments to track changes as you suggested, and it doesn't exactly match what the council rules are asking for here. It doesn't exactly match it. And so if he knows more about Microsoft Word than I do, then I'm open to learning. But I think, you know, the method that Councilor Johnson and Councilor Gass uses is the method that I'm describing, and I can make it be informative to everyone so everybody can see the changes. And it's the method that I'm used to, and the method that when I served as an elected official like you guys, I saw packets or documents adjusted in that same manner. So I'm hoping that might be something the council is willing to consider. If not, we'll do our best to work with it as the rules state. Otherwise, it creates additional work time that is limited in our worlds.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, and there's no value in creating extra work. The problem is if we make the change and it blows up, then, you know.
You could change it back.
Well.
We have to wait till next session
The
to
way
change our rules.
work, yeah.
But I agree. I think if you're finding that it's wasting staff time, I'm comfortable with reverting back to text changes, and we'll just have to make sure we're double checking packets. So
Well, that's majority. There's a majority there for that. So.
Well, I mean, I agree you should be able to use track changes and to do it manually and change the font color and underline each change manually is a ridiculous proposal. I totally am with the town manager on that. But,
So it sounds like there's enough support for that change.
Okay. So would it be okay to have it say, it says when editing documents, track changes shall be used to show the proposed additions to the text?
Yeah.
Yes.
The majority will go for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other changes or additions?
None from me.
I think we're there then. Seeing none, oh, thank you very much. Yeah, no, can you tell I'm new? Yeah, we will now ask for public comment.
Okay, so down in the section of the council rules where it talks about the freedom of information.
Can you, if you have do you have the rules there in front of you?
No, I
Oh,
left,
okay.
yeah.
Give us a minute to
Basically, it's
find
the
it.
great big paragraph in red. Okay, where it's all struck
Page
out.
21.
Oh, it's at the bottom.
And it puts all requests to the town manager,
Yes.
okay?
So that's section 602.17. Go ahead.
So the reference was for the town charter, and so I went to the town charter and read what it says.
Yeah,
And it says solely through the town manager. Basically, what that paragraph is all about is that it was to keep the council from giving direction to the town employees, and that's how that was created, section F, section F. And, or to any subordinate of the town manager, and both publicly and privately. That is a far stretch from eliminating that whole paragraph about the freedom of information going to the town councilors. So
Just a-
that really should be reinstated.
so I have a point of information, so just a second.
Point of
Yeah, I
information or
was-
order?
Yeah, I have a point of information that the part that's struck out does not reference Freedom of Access Act
Just
at
above
all.
it does.
There's
Yeah,
no.
that's a different
That's a
section.
section about social media platforms, not about communication with the town manager.
Right. it's a different
There is
section.
nothing
And there's
in
nothing struck out about FOIA.
in
Yeah.
602.17 about FOA, just so you're,
Well, those two are running together.
No, they're not.
they're separate sections, but
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, the point is that when you start taking actions directly channeled or funneled through one person, you lose the ability to have control on it in the future, whether it's the town council or the public. And so this is what that was referencing. I mean, that was the charter. And I know when that was put into the charter and why it was put into the charter. So it has, it's a warning to the council. But I think that it should be reinstated. That whole paragraph should be, the red should be struck out, and the original statement should be left in there.
thank you. Are there any other comments or conversations? I'm actually trying to find the wording in the charter right now myself, because I have the charter open. Do you know what section it
Article
is?
2, Section 4, subsection F.
F, yeah.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Article 2,
Two.
Yeah,
Section 4,
yeah, F,
subsection F.
okay. Which reads, deal with the administrative service solely through the town manager, and neither the council nor any member thereof shall give orders to any subordinates of the town manager, either publicly or privately. That's
Yep.
what this.
That's what
refers
that is. And so,
to. Hang on, it's my turn.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So what we struck out from our council rules, section 602.17, was titled Requests for Staff Time and Legal Opinions, is what the old title of this section was. And it specifically gave the council authority to speak to staff under certain circumstances for certain limited period of time. We determined that that's a violation of the charter. So in my mind, and I guess we'll find out what the majority thinks, but in my mind, I think the change that we make is the clearest way for us to do this, because all it does is it say, counselors may request information. Counselor requests for information may require significant involvement from town staff or the town's legal team in order to be resolved. Requests will be submitted to the town manager as per the town charter, Article 2, Section 4, Elimination of Powers and Duties, subsection F. any counselor can bring any issue to the council. So if I or anyone else makes a request to the town manager and the town manager refuses that, we have the ability to come to the council and get other counselors to support that request. So I don't think, though it eliminates all this language, I don't think it does anything to limit the council's authority. And more importantly than anything else, it refers directly to the charter language, which I don't think we think of often enough, to be honest with you, because that's the keystone of all of our authority as counselors. So personally, I'm okay with this change for those reasons, though I appreciate your understanding. Yes, Matthew? Or your concern, sorry.
May I comment on this
Yeah.
deletion? You know, when I'm reading this section B, it actually, to me, the language that's struck actually sort of gives the town manager more authority than he actually, excuse me, than he actually has. So, from my point of view, it's not at all enhancing the town manager's purview to strike this language, because in this language that's being struck, it says the town manager will determine if requests for staff or legal time, so it's, in my mind, that's kind of the council's purview. If the council wants the town manager to pursue something with staff, then that's our authority, and it's not the town manager's authority to, deny that request. So, yeah, I don't see this deletion as enhancing the town manager's power in any way.
The other piece of it is that none of us as individual counselors have any authority.
Mm-hmm.
Any of us have to get at least two others to agree with us before we can take any action. So this language actually, I think, gave the council, or implied, I guess, some authority that the council doesn't have. So I'm comfortable with the changes, but Ann or Mike, do you have anything you want to add?
I'm also comfortable with the changes. I
Okay.
think they're appropriate and will reduce confusion ultimately.
Yeah, I'm also comfortable with the changes as outlined and the fact that they defer to the charter, which is what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Mike, anything?
No, I agree. I did have a problem with the way it read, and now that I understand it, as long as we go back to that, I agree.
Okay.
Dan?
Mr. Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to
Yes.
say, at the end of the day, I serve at the will of the town council. So if the town council asks me to do something and I refuse to do it, that's a personnel matter, and you guys will deal with that accordingly. So this just makes the communication clear as the charter outlines the way it should be. And if the council requests something, it's my job to follow through with your
Right.
requests.
And it's the majority of the council, not any one of us as individuals.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. The only thing I'll say at the end is I'm going to vote against this. I know it's going to go through, that's all right. I'm just uncomfortable with the whole edits piece, but hopefully that will work out. And the fact that everybody else is comfortable with it makes me hopeful that it will. But that's just my take on this. So let's go to roll. Ann,
Yes.
Krista,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Matthew,
Yes.
and I'm a no. The motion passes as amended. Under new business, I was a little confused by our agenda. It looks basically like we have none. Am I reading that correctly?
We have none.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So we are back to public comments. We haven't heard from Lacey.
She's been on,
Yeah,
hasn't she?
she's.
Yes.
Is she back?
She's
Yeah.
back, and
Okay.
Kyle, the TV just went out here, so I'm not, are you doing something? Okay, he's doing something.
Okay.
Let's give him a second.
Yep,
and-
that's fine.
And then we can, we've got Lacey invited into the meeting, and so
She can still talk, by the way.
she should be able to,
Yep.
to speak now. So Lacey, if you want to unmute, you're able to speak.
We hope.
That's, when technology works, it works well.
Lacey, if you can hear me, just unmute your mic if you could.
She's asking us to do it, and it doesn't give us that ability.
Lacey, you should be able to unmute your mic.
Lacey, if you look up to the top, oh, sorry.
That's all right, let them take care of it, thanks.
Unfortunately, there's not much I can do on my end.
Yeah, we have the ability to unmute or to mute a participant, but not unmute. So. She's
Technology provides us with opportunities and challenges. Unfortunately, tonight's a challenge, not an opportunity.
She says, I'll speak at the next meeting.
Okay. Sorry about that, Lacey. And I appreciate your efforts to make the system work. Seeing no other public comments, we have no referrals or we do have upcoming meetings. Our next meeting will be September 17th at 5:30 for a workshop. And do we have a topic, actually, that we don't have a topic for that workshop yet?
We don't have one.
But I think
I'll
we'll
talk
have a
to you.
workshop anyways.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have stuff
We have-
waiting in the
yes,
wings. That
Yeah. We were hoping that we would get the Deer Acres folks in for that, but that's not going to work. So we'll look at our list of
they weren't
workshop
available.
topics and let everybody know what that's going to be. We have no executive session tonight, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Ann, seconded. Mike? All in favor of unanimous consent? You don't have to raise your hand. We are adjourned at 8:04 PM.